already know that he has speed, he's got power. I know he's moving up in weight class, can he carry it? But those intangibles, I believe that he has them.
And then Canelo's older. Crawford has the ability, but he's small, and he can look bigger Crawford could look bigger in the weigh-ins and all that stuff, but it's always a difference. When you get in that fight with somebody, you can tell. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel fought him, the twin. He fought Crawford, and in all the stuff, the weigh-ins and the press conference.
Too fast and too smart for Canelo. Even Canelo is a good boy. I'm not saying not taking nothing from Canelo.
The upcoming showdown between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford is being hyped as the biggest fight of the year, and veteran trainer Teddy Atlas has shared his blunt assessment. Atlas stated that Crawford has the tools to win no matter the weight division, pointing to his exceptional skill set, discipline, and ability to adapt inside the ring. He went on to suggest that Canelo is no longer the same fighter he once was, arguing that the Mexican icon has lost some of the hunger and intensity that defined his prime. In Atlas' view, recent performances from Canelo reflect a decline, even labeling him overrated when compared to Crawford. For Atlas, Crawford's sharpness and determination make him the man to beat in this matchup.
That the urgency's not there, the fire's not there. At least it wasn't there a week ago. At least I say that. It wasn't there a week ago. Maybe it'll be there now. Maybe he's the kind of guy that, and I get it, that at this point in their career, it has to be a big fight to get up. That Canelo can't get up for these fights. He couldn't get up for that fight. All right, if you want to go down that road, go ahead. But my road is still possible. That he got old, that just doesn't have that fire no more. Oh my God, I'm going to say this one. That maybe he's a little overrated. I listen, I know he's tremendous. He's tremendous. But could he be a tiny bit overrated? If you look at some of his biggest fights, the fights where you had to be great to win, that you fought great fighters or near great fighters, you can make the argument that he lost the first Triple G. He didn't embarrass himself, but he got a draw. Second one, you can make the argument he lost that. I know it was a different kind of fight, and he got better. But you can make the argument he lost to Lara. He did lose to Mayweather. You can make the argument it was too young in his career. Maybe. Although it wasn't that young. He turned pro when he was 15 or 16.
Former opponent Egidius, Mean Machine, Kavaliauskas, who once shared the ring with Terence Crawford, is confident that size won't be the deciding factor in Crawford's upcoming clash with Canelo Alvarez. According to him, Crawford's superior skill set and high fight IQ give him a clear edge. He explained that while Canelo may hold advantages in natural size and weight, those are not enough to counter Crawford's adaptability, timing, and sharp ring intelligence. Mean Machine praised Crawford as one of the most calculated fighters of this generation, a boxer who can adjust on the fly and systematically break down opponents no matter their physical attributes. He emphasized that Crawford's control of distance, rhythm, and pace often outweighs raw size or strength. In his view, the matchup favors the fighter with the sharper tools, and that fighter is undoubtedly Terence Crawford.
No, it's not good for Crawford. Canelo's too big. Right now, my position changed. I think Crawford is too fast and too smart for Canelo. Even Canelo is a good boy. I'm not saying not taking nothing from Canelo, but the way when you say oh, he's too big, when you see Usyk fights and what Usyk did to the big guys like Joshua and Fury, so the size doesn't matter. I think the skill level matters, and Crawford, he gained weight, but I think he's gonna be even faster, and his head works good in the ring. He's boxing IQ is just on top. So I would say 50-50, but right now I'm kind of leaning more to Crawford.
And that's just because of what you saw Usyk do?
It's not I'm just giving an example. Size doesn't matter in the boxing. When they say Canelo is big and he's fighting 175, 168, and Crawford just moving from 147, 154. So I'm just putting an example that size doesn't matter, and that the fighter makes the fight. I think it's just that I see that Crawford's training and that he's big too right now. So he gained weight, but not and lots of people gain weight that sloppy weight, I would say fat, but he looked like strong, massively strong. So I think it's gonna be a good one.
How did Terence feel physically when you faced him? Like, how is like his strength? Because yeah, a lot of people do make the point that Canelo's just maybe too big, too powerful for Crawford.
Crawford, I wouldn't say like his punches was like super strong, but his timing and accuracy is what made.
Ejidas, Mean Machine, Kavaliauskas drew an interesting parallel between the highly anticipated Terence Crawford vs Canelo Alvarez showdown and Canelo's 2013 meeting with Floyd Mayweather. Back then, Canelo was still young and not yet polished at the elite level, and Mayweather dominated him with slick defense, quick counters, and masterful ring control. Mean Machine believes Crawford has the tools to execute a similar game plan, relying on movement, accuracy, and sharp counterpunching to neutralize Canelo's strengths and frustrate him. At the same time, he points out an important difference: today's Canelo is a far more seasoned and battle-tested fighter. Over the years, he has faced top-level opposition, sharpened his adaptability, and developed the patience and experience that were lacking in his early career.
Throw hard, but they just throw. And he throws like his calculation for the punches and like timing and aiming to the right spots is just like on another level.
Do you think that's going to be the thing that complicates the fight the most for Canelo?
I think so, yeah. And we can go back a little bit to Mayweather Canelo, and Canelo was young and like Mayweather smart, but it can be like familiar fight like that. Even Canelo right now have more experience, and Crawford is still on his prime. So yeah, we will see.
From just your experience, you knowing boxing, like how do you think the fight will play out? Do you think it'll be a slow fight? Do you think it'll be tactical? Like, do you think Crawford?
I think it's gonna start a little bit slowly. They're gonna be careful with each other just to kind of like measure each other and see where they at. And like they're like that's why like they're like champs and they're like great ones. They just don't go like crazy like from the first.
Regis Prograis takes a different stance on the upcoming Canelo Alvarez vs Terence Crawford matchup. The former world champion is skeptical that Crawford's punches will make much of an impact on a naturally bigger, iron-chinned fighter like Canelo. He points out that Alvarez has stood up to the power of some of boxing's hardest punchers, men larger and stronger than Crawford, and rarely looked shaken. Still, Prograis doesn't completely dismiss Crawford's chances. While he doubts the effect of Crawford's power, he recognizes the Nebraska native's world-class skills, adaptability, and ring IQ. Crawford's ability to fight from both stances, craft strategies on the fly, and maintain relentless discipline makes him a legitimate threat, even against a battle-tested champion like Canelo.
At first, I think that Crawford has the ability to outbox Canelo. You gotta look at it. And then Canelo's older. Crawford has the ability, but he's small, and he can look bigger in. Crawford could look bigger in the weigh-ins and all that stuff, but it's always a difference. When you get in that fight with somebody, you can tell. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel fought him, the twin. He fought Crawford, and in all the stuff, the weigh-ins and the press conference, Jamel looked like the bigger man. His head, his neck, everything looked bigger. But when they got in the fight, you can tell. You can see who really was the bigger man. And I think that's the same thing. Crawford is putting on weight, but it's not weight. Like Canelo had the weight already. He doesn't have to put on muscle. He doesn't have to do that. He's already big like that. But I think that Crawford does have the style. He does have the style to beat him. If you look at the people that beat him or gave him troubles, Irislan, De Lara, Austin Trout, Floyd, and Bivol, they gave him trouble and stuff like that. And Skull moved around a little bit too. So I think that Crawford has that. But I don't know how Crawford is going to respond when he gets hit. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel was undisputed at 154. And Canelo hit him and shit. Jamel was like, hell no. Jamel took a knee. So it's a big difference. And Crawford had that one fight at 154. And he didn't, Madrimov would touch him up a little bit. And this is nowhere close to Madrimov. You talk about Canelo. Now, if it was just another bigger guy, I would go with Crawford. But you talk about this might be, people might kill me for it, but well, not really, but this might be the best Mexican fighter ever. One of them.
Jose Vargas Jr., who has spent time sparring with Terence Crawford, shares a perspective similar to Regis Prograis. Vargas admits that while Crawford's punches are accurate and crisp, he doesn't believe they carry the type of power that could seriously hurt Canelo Alvarez. Having felt Crawford's shots firsthand, Vargas describes him as sharp but not heavy-handed enough to stop a fighter of Canelo's size and proven durability. Vargas also highlights Canelo's history of absorbing punches from naturally bigger, stronger opponents, a track record that makes him doubt Crawford's ability to cause the same kind of trouble. Still, he doesn't count Crawford out completely. Power, Vargas notes, isn't the only weapon that wins fights. Timing, precision, and sustained execution can eventually break down even the toughest competitors. Yet, in Vargas's eyes, Crawford may lack the kind of force that would keep Canelo from marching forward with his trademark pressure.
You know, all we're doing is putting the final touches. I mean, I've been sparring Ron Ellis. I mean, this guy is a dog, bro. He's been getting me ready. I mean, he's been Canelo's sparring partner. Shout out to my guy Ron, man. He comes, tries to knock me out every single sparring. This guy fights at 68. Big dude, goes southpaw, and hits hard. So I know he fought Benavidez. So you know, he's a veteran. He's doing veteran tactics in there where he's not letting me rest in the clinch. He's making me work every second of every round. And I got something for Callum. I got something for the whole boxing world. And, you know, I feel you're just as good as your preparation. And we've been doing the road work. We've been doing the mountain work. I've been recovering hard. I've been getting my rest. You know, I haven't been drinking no dark sodas, bro. I'm feeling like Tyson Fury right now, bro. Like
Mickey Bay delivers one of the more controversial takes on the upcoming showdown, openly accusing Canelo Alvarez of cherry-picking his opponents. According to Bay, Alvarez has a history of carefully selecting fights where timing or physical advantages play in his favor. In this case, Bay argues that Canelo sees Terence Crawford as a naturally smaller fighter moving up in weight, which gives Alvarez a built-in edge in size and strength. This viewpoint isn't unique to Bay. Many critics in the boxing world have echoed similar concerns, sparking debates among fans about whether the fight is truly fair. Still, Bay makes it clear that size alone doesn't guarantee victory. He acknowledges that Crawford's ring IQ, adaptability, and sharp skill set make him far too dangerous to dismiss, even against a bigger opponent. For Bay, the fight remains compelling because Crawford has the tools to flip the script despite the odds.
That size comparison type of a thing to make it seem like it's not a type of cherry pick that he has to go up into this battle.
No, he a lot bigger. See, people looking at height. Height don't got nothing to do with weight and where you've been fighting at. Like, Terence put his weight on, so it's a difference. No, Canelo's a lot bigger, like, hands down. Like, just mass, as far as mass, he naturally that thick. You know, he got to come down. Terence, just because your weight is up there, that don't mean that's like putting a dude, Benavidez, as a heavyweight. He might walk around at 205 or whatever. That don't mean he a heavyweight, though. So Canelo is by far the bigger man. We didn't see him hit dudes 6'3", 6'2" in the arm and hurt him. Like, he didn't hurt Kovalev, light heavyweight. So, I mean, didn't he have a light heavyweight title?
Well, when he fought Kovalev?
Just period, at light heavyweight. Didn't Canelo win the light? Did he?
Nah, he just Kovalev. That's it.
Oh, okay. Well, he might have only fought there a couple times, but the fact that he fought up there though, and he fought way up in light heavyweight, but he been at super middleweight for a minute, so he the bigger guy for sure. So really, he gotta hurt Crawford, or he gotta get his major respect. He gotta get his major respect to make Crawford feel like he gotta survive. If he can't that, then he probably ain't gonna win.
Do you feel like you was talking about Crawford? He needs to poke his way out of this fight, right? We've seen that. You know, Crawford's been lined up by lots of fighters. Not Errol Spence, of course, but other fighters that was able to line up with shots that don't necessarily hit like a Canelo. Now, Canelo gonna line you up regardless.
Tom Loeffler approaches the matchup from a different angle. Rather than dwelling on fairness or size advantages, he highlights the spectacle surrounding Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford. From a promoter's perspective, Loeffler views this clash as one of the most marketable events in modern boxing. He points out that both Alvarez and Crawford are not just elite fighters, but also global superstars with dedicated fan bases that cross cultures, countries, and demographics. In his eyes, fights of this magnitude go beyond the sport itself. They attract mainstream media, pull in casual viewers who don't usually follow boxing, and elevate the sport into broader entertainment conversations. For Loeffler, the true value of this fight lies in its ability to unite boxing purists and casual fans under one massive event, making it a spectacle that transcends the ring.
Actually being in the ring on such a high-profile show, it's huge. It doesn't get any bigger than that, and you know, you got to give credit to both guys. They're both very confident. They both have very passionate fan bases. You know, Callum, you know, having fought in Dublin, packed the arena out there, the 3 Arena, having fought at Madison Square Garden 3 times, fought in Boston, and then Fernando Jr., you know, from one of the biggest boxing named families, you know, in the history of boxing. He's going to bring out a huge fan base. So it's a really exciting addition to, you know, such a big show that like I said, doesn't get any bigger than that for sure.
I agree. I think that you, along with me, have seen some of these criticisms of the undercard. But really, when you look at it, I mean, we both know Callum Walsh so well. The personality and the authenticity that he brings to this sport is just so sincere. He's so real. You know, being from Ireland, coming overseas to train and dedicate his life to this craft, and his personality is so magnetic that it obviously brought someone like Dana White to be a huge supporter of him. I think in these weeks leading up to the fight, you know, the fighting public who does not know Callum Walsh is really going to fall in love with him, especially, you know, by fight night.
Turki Alalshik, Saudi Arabia's boxing power broker, is widely credited as the driving force behind making the Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford fight a reality. Many analysts acknowledge that his financial backing and influence have opened the door to mega events once thought impossible. However, not everyone agrees that this particular matchup is ideal. Critics point to the significant size difference, arguing that Crawford may be at a built-in disadvantage before the opening bell. To them, this showdown was created more for global demand and spectacle than pure competitive balance. Still, Alalshik's role is undeniable. Without his vision and resources, it's unlikely this fight would even exist. His ability to unite 2 of boxing's biggest stars under one banner highlights just how much influence he now has in shaping the sport's future. Whether or not fans see this as the right fight, there's no denying it will go down as a once-in-a-generation event.
And Benavidez Jr., Canelo, you know, would have mopped up all of these dudes, bro. Would have mopped up all of these dudes. Like, you know, when we're coming out and saying that this is a complete mismatch, and this is a joke, and this is a fantasy fight, you know what I'm saying, that Turki Alalshik dreamed of, and we know he's a big Crawford fan, knowing, you know, the level of star power that Canelo Alvarez has, and he had the bag to make this fight happen. It doesn't mean that it's a logical fight for boxing, bro. At the end of the day, man, you know, you guys tell me if Terence Crawford would have beat Triple G. Tell me if he would have beat Billy Joe Saunders. Tell me if he could beat Bivol, even though, yeah, Canelo didn't beat Bivol, but tell me if he could have beat a Sergey Kovalev. And the other loss Canelo has to Mayweather, man. Crawford, you know, nobody in the world I felt could have beat Mayweather in the height of his career, bro. Tell me if Crawford, bro, would have just flat out went in there and beat a guy like Miguel Cotto, Daniel Jacobs. You know what I'm saying, bro? Like, it's the level of competition that Canelo faced, man. And these dudes that he went in there to beat. You know, Terence Crawford is nowhere, you know, has fought nowhere near the level of competition that Canelo Alvarez has fought. And I've had some comments talking about, you know, you talk about we're going off of our emotions and you're going off of your emotions. You're not giving no facts, bro. Like, this is all facts right here, bro. The fact of the matter is, bro, Canelo Alvarez has fought at light heavyweight. The fact of the matter is, Terence Crawford has only fought once at 154 pounds. And the fact of the matter is, he was getting touched up by those right hands all night, bro. By Majumov. That's the fact, bro. The biggest, most dominating fight he ever had was against Errol.
Trainer Dave Caldwell has always praised Terence Crawford's adaptability, and he believes those same tools will be critical in a fight against Canelo Alvarez. Crawford's comfort switching between orthodox and southpaw stances is a rare advantage that lets him break rhythm, create new angles, and keep opponents from settling into a game plan. Caldwell also highlights Crawford's elite footwork, his ability to slide in and out of range, pivot smoothly, and avoid being trapped in the corners. Against Canelo, who excels at cutting off the ring and applying steady pressure, this mobility could be the key difference. In Caldwell's eyes, Crawford doesn't need to rely on power to succeed. Instead, the matchup comes down to discipline, movement, and ring intelligence. If Crawford can control distance, use lateral movement effectively, and stay off the ropes, he not only has the tools to win rounds, but possibly the entire fight.
Fight got made, I've always fancied Crawford. I just just think it's different. I think there's something about him. I think if you add what Crawford's good at, his brain, he can switch. He's very good as a southpaw. His judgment at distance is fantastic. His punch picking is fantastic. He's got good legs. When you add what, and he can pop. I mean, listen, I'm not saying he's got the power to hurt Canelo, but he might have the power to surprise Canelo a little bit and just sting him and just. But when you look at what Crawford does well, and then I look at this version of Canelo, as Canelo's got on, his punch rate's gone down.
That's all for today's breakdown. Who do you think has the edge, Canelo or Crawford? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's get the conversation going. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more boxing updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.